Masters of the Universe, the Legends of Grayskull podcast.
Legends of Grayskull is a fan podcast exploring the vast worlds of He-Man and She-Ra. Join Sean Scavarna and Matthew Duke as they discuss the history and mystery of Eternia and Etheria, diving deep into all incarnations of Masters of the Universe.
Hey, you know who's back? It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast. Now that you know, let's go. Get ready for the show. It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Right now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to L.O.G on MYP, the miniseries where myself, Matthew Duch, and Curtis Eckerman go through each episode of the Mike Young Productions 2002 He-Man and the Masters of the Universe series, episode by episode, telling you what we like, dislike, breaking it down, coming up with some fan theories along the way. We are now on episode 10, Dragon's Brood. Curtis, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good. A couple questions for you.
Okay.
Because I don't normally do the whole audio thing. Are these showing up on the audio format as well, or is this just on the YouTubes?
Nope. Yep. We're audio as well. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Because you don't do the whole blah 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 wherever pods are cast and stuff. So I didn't know if it was.
Yeah, no, it's a little different here. This is L.O.G on MYP, so
okay,
Right.
I just like the Micro Machines, man.
Yeah, that'll probably be back. I felt like this needed something a little bit different.
Speaking of back, I'm not sure if you noticed, but recently Sean and I did a review on the Mondatila, and I told him that he's missed here, and invited him to sit in on. If there's any of these that he really is fond of, or maybe any that he hates on the MYP and would like to sit in with us, that we'd love to have him. So,
yep, and I've had similar discussions with him as well, and he's definitely not done with Legends of Grayskull. He's just taking his time. So, there's definitely some stuff in the works, and probably by the time that this episode airs, there will probably be some more news out kind of about the future of Legends going forward.
Beautiful.
Which also, by the time this airs, it'll make more sense, but will make more sense as to why this kind of has a separate intro, a separate title. So there's some stuff brewing on the front that Sean and I have been discussing in the past week or so, which will probably be about a month ago by the time you guys hear this.
So old news, but
yes.
I don't know, folks. You may know, but I don't know.
That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so today we are discussing episode 10 of the series, and that is Dragon's Brood. This is the 10th episode of the series, written by Mark Edens and Michael Edens, directed by Gary Hartel, and this originally aired on November 1st of 2002. So yeah, we're getting close. I know there's going to be a break coming up. I remember, you usually get the kind of this aired back when shows followed that typical format of around November, December, kind of cutting off for January, February, March. So I can't remember exactly when it happens, but it's got to be coming up here soon.
Okay.
But so this episode, we start right off with Adam and Teela again, and I love this scene with them, just interacting, setting up the plot. We see them on the sky sleds, discovering the dragon trapped in the cave. Just this whole opening, like this is how I like my Adam and Teela.
Yeah, like, it's a good kind of friendly rivalry competition. Right. Not anything like where they're angry with each other, or they're like rivals per se, but just like a friendly competition. Like, hey, I bet I can do this better than you, and it doesn't matter what it is. In this instance, it's racing, sky sleds, right. But it could be anything. The last time I think it was climbing up to the top of the cliff, during the training and stuff. So yeah, it's a good little opening there. I like it.
Yeah, nice banter. We get to see our first glimpse of a Mike Young production dragon. Really exciting. I know, definitely going back to 2002, He-Man.org message boards, fan theories, like you have an episode titled Dragon's Brood, and of course everyone's going, Granomir. It's got to be Granomir. Like, this has to be when we meet Granomir in this series. Which would have been
similar
cool.
color.
Yeah, well, they definitely went with the red color for the dragons, where Filmations were typically green, besides Granomir. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's one of those things. Even at the time, I'm like, it'd be cool to see Granomir, but it's not necessarily necessary. Especially with the fact that even in Filmation, we had kind of the more beast dragons, and then we had the higher evolved, like Granomir magic dragons. So
yeah, this is not the dragons that we see in this episode are not the talking dragons.
No.
So yeah,
still got some intelligence, but
yeah, for sure. Just not communicating with the masters. So
yeah, and I think even especially me, I was doubtful we'd see Granomir with the fact that they made Battle Cat non-talking already, so it's kind of like, okay, I don't think we're gonna get into that level of creature in this series for whatever reason. But yeah, so the end, we also get our first appearance of Chief Carnivus, who has become a fan favorite over the years. He leads the Quadians, which are a race of anthropomorphic cat people. And this is the first real new race introduced in the series. What you think about Chief? Yeah, because I mean,
there's been different art and styles of the other races, like obviously the way that Buzz Off and his clan look is completely different from Filmation, but they're not original. So yeah, I get what you're
saying. They built out like Buzz Off, and Stratos always had his people in Avion, but like this is the first where we're just like, let's do a whole new thing, not based off another character.
Yep.
So what do you think about the Quadians?
I mean, it basically is like Thundercats to me. I mean, it's like they're like, how can we kind of throw some Thundercats into this? Oh, here's how we'll do it. So, I mean, I think it's a neat character. I think the classics version of Chief Carnivus is really cool. But I mean, they don't do much in here. It's just kind of a side note to, get Teela and Adam to go back and forth so that they can kind of, come across the dragon piece. So maybe in future episodes when they, explore them a little bit more. But for right now, it's kind of a nothing burger.
Yeah, it's just a setup, just fleshing out the world. I love the design of them. They look cool. And at the same time, like their village, where it's like it looks like a big cat tree, honestly. Like they got the cliffs going up and they got the little houses throughout, like neat designs. At least you can tell that they're setting these up to be a recurring backdrop here.
Well, before, like, just I don't know, are you like, you're just talking about the character, or are we actually going through the story at this point?
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Okay, because there's a couple other things that have happened up to this point. Obviously, Adam and Teela rescue that dragon or help the dragon escape from the cave that it's in. And then we find out that Beastman's actually the one that collapsed the cave on that dragon after stealing its eggs. And then we find out that Beastman's an idiot and he's been holding an empty bag and couldn't tell the difference between an empty bag and one with several dragon eggs in it.
Yeah.
And then just to top Beastman's silliness, you got Orko that finds dragon eggs and just thinks they're juggling balls. So yeah. And then we come across these folks and Chief Carnivus, and Teela has to wear a dress. So, which she doesn't seem very happy about.
Not at all. And I got to point. I don't want to be the guy that always points out animation errors, but I love how they make a big deal about Adam having to put on the medallion and everything, and then immediately forget to animate it for the next 2 shots of Adam when he's talking to Teela about the dress. Like, come on, guys, you're better than this.
I did like though that as they're showing Adam kind of talking to the chief and everything, you see Tila just kind of like pulling on her dress, like she's not like happy about it and stuff. So you're right, it's like very much attention to detail in one area, right, and totally ignore this other one. So
I just love that setup too. Like Adam knew what he was doing. Oh yeah, I got to put on this medallion. Tila, of course,
wait for her to throw her little one,
rubbing it in her little.
Oh yeah, by the way,
yeah, you got to royal duty and all that. Oh yeah, by the way, you have to wear this for your royal duty. And right. She pulls out the dress. It's like, oh,
and I like Adam. Well, I don't know if I like it or not, but I thought it was interesting that Adam kind of mocks Randor there as he's talking about it. He does like a little Randor impersonation about the royal duties.
Well, yeah, just like we all, mocked our fathers over.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't think it's something that we've seen, neither in Filmation or in this series so far. That Adam's kind of, and not like terribly. It's not like he's calling his dad a piece of crap or anything.
No,
but he does kind of imitate him a little bit, and not necessarily a flattering way. So
but again, and it's also strengthening the Adam Tila bond, because it's what we would do with our buddy.
Correct.
Your dad would take you out. Oh, God, you get with your buddies. My dad, you got to clean your room before you go out. Like,
right. Yeah.
Can you believe it? Like, and that's what it is. And I like kind of to your point earlier in the series where it seemed like you felt Tila was doing that, like that sort of thing, wrong time, wrong place.
Mm-hmm.
Here it's like, okay, but now we're seeing the sides of Adam, where with Tila, he trusts her, she's his friend, and right. He feels like he can be this way. And then counterpoint to that, when he's talking to Carnivus and he accidentally calls King Randor his dad, and he's like, oh no, like King Randor, I mean,
right.
So it really shows.
He knows when you're supposed to be professional and when you can kind of cut it up with your friends. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's showing Adam growing in this series, where he's still got to play the irresponsible. He's getting more to that Filmation Adam, where he's playing the irresponsible, but at the same time, he's also trying to step up because Eternia is in a state of crisis. Eternia needs all hands on decks. They went to Carnivus to form an alliance, so that same thing they did with Buzzoff and the Andrenids. Like, if Skeletor keeps growing in power, we're going to need your help. We need to be united. And so I like that, you can kind of have both, where it's like Adam is trying to step up and find the balance and trying to make his father proud. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, the He-Man duties are going to kind of sabotage that as well.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about it, but I think you're starting to also see Tila kind of change a little bit in how she deals with Adam. It's not just this constant just picking on him and just shot. I mean, she's still sarcastic and they still banter back and forth, but it's not like, hey, you're a chicken crap, you're like, all this and that. Like that, some of that has started to go away. And so yeah, she's growing as well, which I don't know how old Tila's supposed to be in this. I know
16, same as Adam.
See, that's what I thought, but isn't she still at this point like captain of the guard?
Yeah. It's unfortunately, yeah.
So, like, to me, when I watch this, I feel like she's older than Adam. Like, she's maybe, the feeling that I get is maybe she's like 4 years older than Adam. Yeah. Something that is old enough to be captain of the guard, young enough that they can still kind of see each other as similar, like peers, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe like like if Adam was 17 and she's 20 or something like that. It feels like there's a little bit of an age gap there, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, and it's definitely awkward. I know they make a point of Adam being 16 in the opening, and Tila is supposed to be the same age. I agree with you. I think at the minimum they both should have been 18. Which, if you go by the original Filmation series Bible, that even though they never showed Adam getting the sword in the series Bible, it does say that he received the sword on his 18th birthday. They aged it down a little bit for this series. I think 18 would have worked better because, granted, we're in a fantasy land. Maybe 16 over there is the 18 to us, but
and I would be okay with both of them being 16. Like we're seeing as this series goes on that he's having to work into this role. He has to learn how to be Prince Adam at the same time as how he's supposed to be He-Man. It would be nice to have seen Teela have to grow into that Captain of the Royal Guard role rather than just being that right from the start. So, that to me, that just kind of feels off a little bit, but I digress.
Yeah.
But we do see her kind of growing as a person throughout these last few episodes and stuff. So.
Yeah, I was going to check in with you on that because I know, especially in the first handful of episodes, Teela was one character that really bumped you. And now we've had a few episodes here where I've definitely felt like it's being written better, her relationship with Adam. How do you feel?
I feel like the beginning was lazy writing, and I feel like it's gotten better. To your point, she doesn't mind cutting up when it's just the two of them.
Yeah.
But when other people are around, we're no longer seeing her tear him down in front of others. And I'm totally cool with that. Like you said, when you're with your buddy and stuff and you give each other shit, that's cool. But or your brother, or your sister, or whatever. But doing it in front of other people and embarrassing them, that's kind of different.
Right.
And so we're not seeing as much of that now. So when she's giving him crap one-on-one, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I feel much better about her at this point. And in fact, there's certain things that she's done and said that I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. Like, and we'll get to some of those. And I think this episode even, so.
Yeah, I even like, and I think I forgot to point it off on air for, I think it was Siren Song, where it's like she makes the comment that she's going to go get Adam to help her. And then she's like, oh, what am I thinking? Adam, he's not going to help me. Like, those kind of comments are more like that feels more natural. Like you guys saying, oh, Matt's going to be late to Offworld. Of course Matt's going to be late to Offworld.
Yeah.
Like, he's always late to Offworld. Like, it's not, it didn't feel like the beginning episodes where it's just like she is just on him.
It's not me like,
that's Adam.
Yeah, but it's not me calling Matt's mom and dad and saying,
right,
how come your son can never be on time for anything? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a little bit different, but
exactly. So we got the evil warriors. They're going out to find the dragon's eggs because Beastman lost them. Of course, Skeletor again pulls his famous jump in and pretend that this was all kind of his plan. Oh, Beastman, you were going to give the dragon eggs to me, right? We find out that, like in the Filmation series, Beastman cannot control dragons.
Although what's the thing that he's got with him? Is that not a dragon? Like, what is that thing? The thing that's throughout the episode that's helping him? The green thing.
That is a Serpentatar. That is
Serpentatar. Okay.
Yeah, that is a winged serpent.
Okay. It kind of felt to me like it's another form of dragon, and I'm like, how come he can control this one and not the other ones? Okay. Gotcha.
But I also like in the Filmation series, it was set up that like dragons are the only thing that Beastman can't control. In this series, I kind of feel like there's probably a few things that Beastman can't control, but then he also like in MYP, his powers seem less like you are under my control, boo, 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 and more like
training.
Beastmaster type thing.
Yeah, because he even says in this one, like, maybe if he gets them while they're younger,
right,
he may be able to kind of get them under control. Like maybe like an adult dragon has enough mental capabilities or whatever to not, have to fall under his influence, but maybe a younger dragon would.
So I think, and they set it up there to where it's kind of two-hand. Like he's an animal trainer, but he's also got kind of this power of persuasion over beasts.
Right.
So like, and I think number one, probably the intelligence level, like the weaker intelligence will be easier to persuade. And then two, I'd probably think maybe just the aggression of the animal itself like maybe
and maturity or whatever experience.
But if it's like kind of more of a predator, more of a like this is a beast that would want to attack humans anyway. So Beastman, it's easier to persuade him to attack the masters. But I do like that it gives some limits to his power. Where it's not just like, oh, any animal that walks by, I can just be like Aquaman them to go attack,
Right.
So it's a nice power set. But I like this, and I like that dungeon with all of Beastman's cages and creatures and everything. It's like, all right, and Serpentor
cool.
looks badass.
Mm-hmm.
I'm obviously this very much is reminiscent of the Filmation episode Dragon Invasion. Lots of roots in that, but definitely its own episode at the same time.
Yep.
So lots of fun. So yeah, at this point it's chase down the dragon eggs, which, like you said, Orko has already found them. They're going to replace his lost juggling balls because that makes perfect Orko sense.
And then he drops them all, and they all crack open, and the dragons just happen to be just fine. They were right at the age that they're okay to be cracked open. They just hadn't come out of the shell yet. Luckily, it wasn't just a mess of disgustingness on the floor, but it's actually dragons. So
how many times before we got to that, we had Man-at-Arms going down the palace hallway.
I was wondering if you were going to bring this up.
Are we? I've never noticed until this rewatch how paranoid Man-at-Arms is constantly.
He just kicks in a door without knowing what's going on. Like
he hears strange noises, knows that's the freaking dining room,
right?
And he's like, "This must be Skeletor."
Yeah, it kicks it almost off the hinges. Yeah,
right. Like, and I feel like we've done that quite a few times in this series, where it's like, oh, what's that? What's that? Oh no, it's just Ram Man, or it's just Adam, or it's just Cringer, or I'm like,
yeah. Luckily, it's not like Queen Marlena, like right behind the door, to where when he kicks it open, it knocks her down.
Oh
yeah.
So yeah, he kicks open the door.
I did find that humorous.
It's Ram Man eating some food. He makes fun. He fat shames Ram Man. Like,
yeah.
I mean, just straight out. Like,
well, he says, "Isn't it a little early?" kind of thing for what does he say? Like a mid-moon snack.
Mid-moon snack.
And then Ram Man's like, "No, I'll have to come back later for that." Like,
right.
Like, this is my mid-moon snack. Like
right.
He's
a hobbit. Ram Man is a hobbit in this scene.
But I didn't feel like that was fat shaming. I felt like it was him saying that it wasn't the right time to eat, not necessarily that he was eating too much.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But even then, like, so our options are, okay, that's the door to the dining room. There's noises coming in there. Our options are someone's eating at an inappropriate time, or Skeletor is attacking through the dining room. And Man-at-Arms goes, definitely Skeletor attacking. Right. There's no way anybody in the palace would possibly be eating when it's not a scheduled meal time.
Even if you did think that there was something going on in there, there's, let's say Skeletor's in there or something. Like, wouldn't you want to like surprise him? Right. Like you're only one person. You have no idea what's behind that door. If you thought that there was something nefarious going behind it, you wouldn't want one person just go in there and face whatever may be there. Like, you'd want to kind of sneak up and look through the cracks, and
I would think so. I
think it's fun. I don't know. I got a chuckle out of it. I thought it was, just a cool little interaction with him and Ram Man, but I was wondering if you were going to bring that up.
Oh, for sure. Just the thing with me is now I'm really going to be watching, because I'm like, are they turning Man-at-Arms into like this paranoid type of personality in there? Like, I've never picked up on that before, but especially thinking forward to some stuff that happens, I'm like, maybe they were setting this up a bit longer than I thought they were, and we'll definitely get into that in later episodes. But that was just what's funny to me, is when I really, like you said before, we're trying to watch these a little closer, a little more critical, and it really
I like it though, because it kind of ties into the whole him getting irritated so much with Orko, because it's like it feels like he's always on edge, like he is just at his maximum stress level. So all it takes is one Orko stupidity to really just, make him lose it. And so this kind of ties in with that. Like, yeah, he's so stressed that, he's just super paranoid. I like that that idea.
Yeah, I can get down with it. So Orko releases the dragons. They go crazy right off the bat, they can breathe fire from birth. They're cute little things.
And fly right off the bat.
Yep. They're like, baby deer can walk immediately after being born. They can fly and breathe fire immediately. And they end up torching the place. Luckily, Man-at-Arms is paranoid and still skulking around the corner. So he jumps right back in and puts out the fire, and the dragons fly off.
And he makes a note to say that they grow up quickly.
They do.
Yeah,
and then we're almost, you can
it pretty much it cuts from that. It goes to it. It goes off, comes back on, and they're almost full grown. And we find out after that scene, Adam is still talking to Chief Carnivus. So it feels like this is like a 5-minute window that the dragons go from newborn to almost full grown.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking a few hours. Well, not quite
at most, because Adam was already there.
They were there. They hadn't met with him yet. You got to figure there's probably going to be a ceremony, maybe a dinner or something. As long as Man-Arms doesn't fat shame the Quadians, So but yeah, and I was thinking about
within
that too.
Definitely a day. These dragons have gone from newborn to nearly full grown.
Teen at least. Yeah. I mean, we'll see Mama Dragon later and see that they're about half her size, but
but they're definitely considerably bigger than when they come out of the egg.
It's a big one. And I was thinking about that because if this was a modern series in the streaming era, this scene with the baby dragons would have happened like 3 episodes ago. And then it would have come back in this episode full force. Hey, oh, what's that? Oh, you remember those dragons that Orko accidentally hatched a few days ago? They're back, So, but yeah, for time or whatever, they really need to accelerate the growth. You can tell that there would have been a commercial break there, but that's about as long as you get. But yeah, they're back. They get attracted by Mechanex's shiny neck. They kidnap him. He's able to be rescued, but then they start setting their sights on the Eternian marketplace. We get to see a lot of kind of the city around Eternos, and there's street vendors, again fleshing the background of the palace and the city around it. But yeah, they're doing typical dragon, trying to take anything shiny.
Yep.
Meanwhile, they I forget what does set them back.
They're
the evil warriors,
the town and stuff, and then it catches sight of the Doomseeker, which is also shiny, and begins to chase it. To which Triclops tells Skeletor what's going on, and Skeletor says, "That's great." Basically send it to Castle Grayskull.
That's right. So an Evilling creates the orb to lead them to Grayskull.
Yeah, because Beastman, I think is it Beastman or Trapjaw. One of them's like, well, Castle Grayskull's not shiny,
right?
Yeah, which I thought at this point when she went to do her thing, because I watched it 2 times, and the first time I was like, is she going to send something to it to actually make Castle Grayskull shine, turn it gold or something? But she doesn't do that. She basically just sends this orb that keeps the dragons following it to Grayskull until it hits the shield. But it's the Doomseeker could have done that. So I don't even know what Evelyn's thing actually even did. It doesn't make sense.
It's funny you say it because I was thinking the same thing rewatching it, because I remember the general stuff, but not every beat. And I'm like, I thought the same thing. I'm like, the spell is going to do something to attract, like you said, make Grayskull a sparkly, shiny, whatever. Yeah. But I guess the implication is just that she knew that the shield would go up, and that
unless
would be
it made the shield shinier or something. But it didn't really specify what was going on there. So,
but it didn't seem like enough to keep the dragons interested, to be honest with you. Once they got there, I was,
and even if you did make the shield shiny, at some point they kind of break through the shield, and then why do they stay? Now their shininess is, I don't know. A little off there, but.
But yeah, so luckily the sorceress was also creeping on the Eternos village randomly.
Yeah, everybody's just watching everybody.
Everyone's just sitting there, just watching them. Like, Tila's not even there. You can't even watch your own daughter. Like
a bunch of peeping toms.
And she sees the dragons headed for Grayskull. She puts out a nice vintage telepathic communication to Adam that He-Man is needed. Adam convinces Tila to go to Castle Grayskull because he's got a hunch.
Gut feeling. Yeah.
Right. Once they get there and see the dragons attacking, Tila again asks him how he knows. And I like that this isn't Filmation Tila where she just drops everything. Yeah. She's like, how did you? How?
Yeah, she is asking questions.
And he's like, oh, I saw a plume of smoke.
Right. And then he now has to become He-Man.
Yep.
So he has to, figure out a way to get away from her so she doesn't see him transform. And he does the my sky sled is losing power.
Yes. And he
it just kind of swoops down out of nowhere and she just keeps fighting the dragons which is I think that's cool because it's not just him going off and her just ignoring it. Like he's now thinking about these things. Like, how can I excuse myself from the situation that makes sense so that He-Man can get involved in this battle?
This is definitely my favorite Adam excuse of the series so far.
Yes.
And this might be something we have to keep track of. But yeah, because he does such a great job of selling. He's like, they've already encountered the dragons. So it's like it's reasonable that there could have been some damage that Tila didn't see. And the way he cuts the acceleration, he's piloting it down. Like it's not he's just landing. Like he sells it. And then I love once he transforms and heads back, Tila confronts the dragons. They get on top of the rooftop pavilion of Grayskull, and He-Man jumps in at the right moment to shield her from dragon fire. And the first thing He-Man says is, I forget the exact wording, but it's like, I met. Did you write it down?
Yeah, I think I did. Oh no, I didn't write that part down.
It was like,
oh yeah, he said, I ran into Adam and borrowed his sky sled. Nice kid.
Yes, I love that. I love that he's reinforcing the excuse as He-Man. Like
which is what I complained about earlier in the season, that like, as He-Man, he's not like, I was pissed because Man-at-Arms wasn't defending Adam against Tila's, shit. But even more so, I was like, why isn't he using when he's He-Man? Why isn't he somehow making an excuse for Adam that will justify his absence?
Right.
So I love this, that not only did he borrow his sky sled, which was losing power, but now it's fine.
Right.
But he has to throw in, nice kid.
Nice kid.
Yeah, he's a nice kid.
He's acknowledging that it's like the first time they've met, and it sets up why Adam will never join the fight. Like He-Man took his sky sled. So now he's like just sitting on the side of the road waiting for a tow. Like, So yeah, I love that interaction. I like seeing, was Siren Song where we had the battle on the cliffs around the abyss of Grayskull. Now this episode we've got the battle on this rooftop pavilion. And
there's a lot of good fighting here on top of this being an interesting story and everything. Yeah, there's a lot of good action. And now it's on top of Grayskull, which is something we haven't seen yet. So yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love them fleshing out Grayskull to where it's like it's not just a toy play set where it's like you open up and there's a room. It's like there's all these different areas to it. You got the rooftop with all the towers. You can see staircases leading down. It really lends itself to like Skeletor's like 3 steps away from entering Grayskull again, with the shields down and being up top here.
And now he lands on top and him and the evil warriors are like fighting with the dragons against, He-Man and Tila. I like Tila throws out a line towards Evil Lyn saying something like some of the effect of like, I saw a family resemblance between you and the dragons kind of thing, which I think is just good fighting banter. Like it's very like Spider-Man, like, just talking crap as you're fighting. I loved it. Yeah.
No, it was great. We got to see He-Man use his sword and shield. We got the mother dragon appear. It just as they're feeling like they can control the baby dragons, the mother dragon shows back up. She's twice the size. And she's really putting He-Man to the test.
Yes.
Especially because you can tell his hesitance about actually hurting these creatures.
Right. He's pulling back for sure.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of defensive stuff. We get to see his shield for the first and I believe only time in the series. And he's really Captain Americaing it up. He's lots of deflections, lots of spinning shields. Sword gets knocked away. But yeah, this whole end sequence. I mean, we could break it down punch by punch, but like He-Man versus the dragon, and then He-Man and the Masters show up versus Skeletor and the Serpentor. Like,
and then when the dragon, it seems like the dragon's about ready to put the final blow to He-Man.
Yep.
It leans down and sniffs him and stops. Yep. And this is where you realize, okay, the dragon knows that He-Man is Adam.
Yep.
And Adam helped the dragon escape from the cave-in.
Yep.
And so now the dragon has changed its mind, even to the point where it defends He-Man against the other baby dragons.
Right.
Like the baby dragons don't know what the hell's going on. They're still attacking. Yep. And the mama dragon steps in and is like, no,
we're done here.
No. Yeah.
Yep. They take off, and that's when Skeletor and company show up.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we get when the dragon now is starting to fight for their side, and we get Stratos does the Sean Connery voice, and it's like he's like a dragon fighting on our side. Now that's something you never see. Something like that to that effect. It's like, okay, I'm just go with it at this point. It's just Sean Connery flying around fighting with them. So
versus the Serpentor, the Masters versus the Evil Warriors.
Yep.
Just a whole great action-packed end to this episode. I mean, the Serpentor breathes that blue energy, the dragon breathing fire. The Serpentor gets the dragon wrapped up. He manages to flip him off, and eventually the dragon is able to push the Serpentor into the abyss. And then once the Evil Warriors see that it's just them versus the Masters and a dragon, they wisely choose to get
Skeletor calls them cowards.
Yep.
And then, and then Trapjaw says, we can't beat He-Man, the Masters, and a dragon.
Right. Like, come on, Skeletor.
Yeah, like, come on. Like, you've never beaten He-Man by himself, but He-Man and the Masters and a dragon, let's go. So.
And so then we've got our end moment. The Masters are relaxing on top of the rooftop pavilion.
I love this scene. I absolutely love this scene. Like, this is, you talked earlier about kind of, the best Adam exit to bring in He-Man.
Yeah.
This is the best reversal of that. Like, Adam coming back after He-Man's gone. He returns as, Teela's kind of looking for He-Man, and Adam shows up and he's like, oh, well, He-Man told me to say goodbye. We could only take one person could use the sky sled at the time. I figured you would, want him in battle more than me, kind of thing. So, he used He-Man to explain Adam's absence, and now Adam is explaining He-Man's absence.
Right.
So, it's a good kind of back and forth there.
And I just like everybody relaxing after a battle. Just passing around the water canteen. Ram Man takes his helmet off. He didn't even do that when he went fishing.
Or in prison. When they put him in prison, they didn't take his helmet off. Yeah.
But yeah, so we get to see, and this is the first time we've ever seen a Ram Man without a helmet. He's got like a metal plate affixed to his head. But yeah, it's nice just seeing the aftermath. You see there's one tower has fallen, and they're all just kind of like, we did it, and they're
one thing I did want to
it.
make mention of, because you had said something in a previous episode. So Adam, when he comes back, says that basically there's only enough room on the sky sled for one person. But you made mention of it in a previous episode that they specifically draw the sky sled so that it looks like it could hold two people on it. And so I'm thinking of that, like, oh, well, Dooch just said, oh, it's built to hold 2 people. And here he says 1. Now, maybe it's because it was losing power and only had enough power to, transport 1 person. I don't know. But I thought that kind of came back to me that you had said in the previous episode. I think it was Ram Man flying it and Mechanic was flying one. You're like, oh, I think this is the first time we see Sky Sled. And they make it to where it looks like it hold 2 people. So
I don't know if I don't remember mentioning 2 people. I remember mentioning that it's got like a back now, to where you can lean back and everything. But
I thought you said because it would that way it would hold a second person. Maybe I'm.
No, I don't think so, because it's still definitely 1 seat, and you've got the feet there, and like I still think it's a 1-person vehicle. I just meant it looks more comfortable.
Gotcha.
With the back and everything than our vintage ones where it's like I just have to sit up straight the whole time.
Gotcha. Okay. I misheard. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
And now you get to the point where Teela is now once again. This isn't just write off everything that happened. Teela is now asking questions, and she's like,
right,
like this is weird. Like the dragon was about ready to put the end to He-Man and then just stopped. Like what happened there? Like something weird happened. I don't know what it was, but something weird happened.
Yep. And Adam speculates, well, it's because we freed her from the cave and everything. And,
right.
And Teela responds like, but that was Adam, not
right.
He-Man.
That wasn't He-Man. And then there's this pause.
Right.
Where she's just looking at Adam.
And Adam's like,
and then Man-at-Arms jumps in and he says, kindness is like a canteen. What one pours into it, others may drink. So just, some Man-at-Arms wisdom there to kind of throw Teela off. But you're starting to get the picture that she is suspecting maybe that Adam and He-Man, there's something going on there. Maybe not that they are the same person, but there's some weirdness here. So
I don't think there's any like. I don't think she's anywhere close to like He-Man is Adam.
Correct.
But there's just these little things that as time goes on is going to keep like that didn't make sense. That didn't make sense. And then down the road it's going to be like, wait a minute, all this added up, which I like. I like that it's kind of that Lois Lane to steal, that investigative reporter type thing where it's like, okay, she's too close to this to just continuously just be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Right. Whatever. Well, in Filmation they would, because it was much more for a I feel like this was written for more of a teen audience, whereas Filmation I think was more of a child audience.
Yes.
And so you're getting a little bit more of that, hey, this doesn't really make sense, asking questions part of it. So
Yep. And they definitely wanted to progress. I mean, we've already seen so much character growth from Adam and Teela and the rest throughout these first 10 episodes. Like you can tell they didn't want it just to be status quo every week. They wanted to push it. They wanted to have some stakes. They wanted to have, eventually I think they would have had some revelations, maybe some revolutions, like, anything would have stayed a secret forever.
Yeah. We ready for the moral?
Hit me.
Moral, kindness is an amazing thing. The more you give, the more you receive. So,
and then Orko dumps a bunch of eggs on his head.
Yes, which those eggs weren't ready to hatch. They were, those were just kind of the normal eggs that are ready to eat, whereas the other ones were just on the verge of cracking open. But it was just perfect timing on Orko's part. So,
and that one was kind of interesting too, because I really thought it was going to be something more about animals, maybe animal cruelty,
being kind. To animals.
Because especially like the opening scene where Adam and Teela stumble across it, like they hit that, never confront a wild animal, you don't know if they're going to be injured or scared or what. Like they hit that a couple times in that opening scene and then kind of never loop back to that. It was just.
Do we have time for a quick story?
Of course we do.
Okay. So this past week, it's funny that we just watched this episode. This past week, my office is upstairs. I work from home and I'm working and I hear this loud crash, right? Loud bang. And it was outside. We've got this big giant bedroom window and a bird had just slammed into our bedroom window. And I look out the window and down, and it's just laying there on the ground, just kind of like twitching and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is not good, So Google online, like, what do you do if bird hit your window and it's hurt, whatever. And it basically, it said to, gently gather it up, put it in a box that has some paper towels in it with some holes, put it in a dark place in your house. And then every 30 minutes, take it outside, open it up, check on it, see if it's more aware, see if it wants to fly off, whatever. And then after a couple hours, if it hasn't, then you call, I guess there's like bird rehabilitation centers that you can call and stuff. So we did that. And at first I was like, this guy isn't going to, like, when I first saw it, it was just like, I'm like, this guy is not going to make it, but like, we checked on it after 30 minutes and it seemed a little bit better. It was moving its head and stuff. Then 30 minutes later, we took it out, opened it up, and he's like looking around and hearing the other birds chirping and stuff. So then, we end up calling the place and they say, we'll have it perch on your finger and then kind of lower your hand down and see if its wings will flap. Yeah. And so my wife did that. She put it on her finger and went down like this, and the one wing flapped, the other one wouldn't. Did it a couple times. So I guess he had something wrong with his wing.
Right.
And then they were like, okay, we'll bring it up. And I guess they've got these places, and I guess they're just non-profit, based on donations and stuff. And you bring them in there, and they've just got like hundreds of these birds that they're taking care of and get them medical assistance and stuff. And they even give you like a little card with a patient number so you can call and check on him after a while and everything. Nice. But it turns out he's doing great now. They're probably going to release him within the next week or so, but I just thought that was interesting. It's like, I similar to you. I thought it was going to be something like, hey, if you see an injured animal or something, like, obviously be safe, but whatever. Try to take care of it. Try to be kind to, other living creatures, kind of thing.
Absolutely. So. The other weird thing about this episode, just that I want to mention before we rate, in the opening scene when Adam and Tila are flying on the sky sleds, you've got Cringer chasing after them and getting tired.
Not there yet.
He just never shows up again. Yeah. And it's like, what was? I thought there was going to be some setup there where eventually Cringer would jump in at the right moment. Yeah. But I guess he got to the Felice Cada.
He must have got tired and just turned around or something. Yeah.
Yeah, or he got to the village after they'd already left and went out on a date with one of the Carnivus's chicks. Like,
there you go.
Hey, wait a minute here. This is pretty nice. All right. It's that time. We're at the end of the episode. That means we need to rate it. For those who don't know, which you should by now, we're on episode 10. 3 power swords. That's the best of the best. We got 2 power swords. That is an above average episode. 1 power sword is a good episode. We got the Cosmic Enforcer. That's right down the middle, neither good nor bad. Then we got the Havoc Staffs. 1 Havoc Staff is bad. 2 Havoc Staffs is worst. 3 Havoc Staffs should be banished into Despondos, never to be watched again. Curtis, what is your power sword ranking for Dragon's Brood?
This one, I mean, there's some, I guess, gaps in the story with the whole Cringer disappearing and, Evelyn not knowing really what that spell really did that the Doomseeker wasn't already doing and some things like that. And Man-at-Arms kicking in a door to a dining room for no reason.
Well, that just made it better.
But that being said, I think as a standalone episode, I think this is the best one we've seen so far. I think that it furthers the story in terms of the character growth for Adam as well as Tila. I feel like this, furthers the story and it's a good standalone episode. The action was great. I even like Tila's little barbs at Evelyn and even some of the ones that she has at Adam throughout it. I give this a 3 swords. I can't. I immediately watched it a second time because it was just that enjoyable. The first time I was taking notes and stuff, and I'm like, I'm just going to watch this again, put my notes down, and just enjoy this thing. And it's the first time I've had to do that I was just like, I need to put my notes down and just watch this thing, and it was very enjoyable. So yeah, I give this 3 swords.
All right. One of my favorite of the series ever since it first aired. Again, it's just a great episode. It builds out the lore. It builds out, a little bit more about Grayskull, and everyone's really hitting their stride. The animation is there. The battles are amazing. we're well past flippy weapons, which, you know, I really hate to bring it up anymore because it really is not reflective of the series. It's really just the beginning movie that
and it's weird
really
because the series is known for that. And even
Right.
when I think back on it, I'm like, that's what I think about as spinny weapons. But you're right. After the first 3 episodes, you're really not seeing that.
No, exactly. So, but I really feel like this is a turning point. It is a great episode, like you said, just to sit down and watch on its own. I'm right there with you. 3 power swords. This is absolutely one of the best of the series, and I can watch this one anytime.
Yeah, this is one, like I said, as a standalone episode, you could definitely put this on and just enjoy it. So.
Absolutely. And it, you know, I wouldn't even be afraid of if somebody had never seen the 2002 series, just telling them watch Dragon's Brood. You know,
I can see that.
But just to kind of get, because I mean,
it gives you a little bit of everything. Yeah.
A little bit of everything. It gives you the heart of the series. Whereas, like we've said, like the beginning, you've got to watch the beginning 1 through 3. And then Courage of Adam, Deep End, they're building on the lore. But this is the moment where we're kind of like, okay, now we're into like He-Man territory where like all the status quo is set, your main roster is set, and now we can just kind of dig into these characters and have some fun stories, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's been several that I've really enjoyed so far, but this is definitely my favorite.
Nice. I love it. All right, guys. That's it for episode 10. Do us a favor down below. Hit all those buttons. Like, share, subscribe. Please share. Like, if you, like I said in the last episode, if you've got somebody who, you know, loves the 2002 series or someone you've been trying to get onto the 2002 series, maybe they start a rewatch and watch us along with it. That would be great. Reach out in the comments down below. I know
we're talking to you, Lion Mom.
Lion Mom.
We expect a comment or a question.
There was another. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. You just posted on the last episode that went up. Nigel Barlow had some great comments. I think eventually we're gonna have to do kind of a comment episode because of how we're releasing these.
That'd be good.
With, you know, without being able to respond to them in real time with a live show or whatever. I think every once in a while we're gonna have to do kind of a catch-up show because they bring up some good
might
points.
Even be good. You were talking about a break coming up. It might even be good to see if maybe 1 or 2 of these folks want to come on and just have a discussion about, you know, the first part of the first season kind of thing.
Yeah, that could definitely be some fun too. So yeah, definitely keep reaching out. You know, comment on the videos. If you're an audio listener, you can always email us at logpod85@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And like I said, we'll definitely be doing a fan comment video at some point. So until next time, go watch Turnabout. It's episode 11 on Amazon Prime. And I was not ready with the outro, so there's going to be an awkward another pause. All right. Until next time, guys.
Oh, come on.